So I have with me now Mrs. Sama Bilbao y Leon, Director General, World Nuclear Association. Welcome to Abu Dhabi to this World Utilities Congress for the first time in Abu Dhabi. A lot of people underestimate the importance, or they don't know yet, the public, about the nuclear energy and its importance in the energy mix and the energy transition. What can you tell us about it?
Well, I think that a lot of people don't know that today nuclear energy is about 10% of the global electricity, and actually is the number one source of low carbon electricity for the OECD countries, and only the second one after hydro at a global level. So it already contributes enormously right now. But in addition to that, there is enormous opportunities for new nuclear to actually help with this enormous challenge that we have right now to decarbonize at the same time that we ensure sustainable development for every person in the world.
Mm-hmm. Do you see the latest geopolitics and the crisis in the Ukraine and Russia? Do you see it as a driving factor towards countries thinking more about nuclear reactors?
Well, I think that is actually help, but this movement started before now. So yeah, already last year in COP26 in Glasgow, many countries started to scratch their chins a little bit, thinking, maybe we need to think whether nuclear is going to be part of this picture. And then, of course, you saw last year already the very high gas prices increased a lot that conversation, and certainly, unfortunately, the war in Ukraine has finally, the last push in that direction. So we see that many countries are evaluating how energy independence and energy security are super important, in addition, of course, to decarbonizing and obviously sustainable development. So we are seeing in Europe already many countries that were considering nuclear, they are like now absolutely focused on nuclear as an absolutely important component of their energy mix. So you see France, the UK, Poland, many of the Central and Eastern European countries, Netherlands.
Even in the region, in the Middle East.
Well, of course, in the Middle East, absolutely. I mean, I think that the United Arab Emirates was one of the first countries that was a little bit of a visionary already. Exactly. Already 12, 13 years ago, the UAE already thought, we really want to have a very diversified and as domestic as possible energy mix. And here we are a few years later with 2 plants already operating commercially and 2 more that are coming up in the next couple of years. So that is a great opportunity. But we see Egypt, we have Turkey, and potentially Saudi Arabia, countries that are considering how to diversify and make their energy mix much more balanced and as independent as possible.
Mm-hmm. When we talk about the energy transition, there's a lot of challenges there. What are you most concerned about?
Well, I am concerned about several things. Number one, I am concerned about the fact that we are currently, or the mainstream conversations about the energy transition don't consider every person in the world. They are not very equitable. Essentially, we see a lot of focus on developed countries decarbonizing. So essentially what we are saying is, for many of us, we need to tighten our belts. Okay, fine, that's good. But the reality is, like, there are a trillion or more of people in the world that have no access or minimum access to energy. And these people need to energize. They don't have a belt that they could tighten. So I am very concerned that we are very focused on cost effectiveness and restricting the use, when in fact we need abundant, affordable, clean energy that is available to anybody and everybody in the world. And I think it's imperative for us, developed countries, to provide the means and the support for other countries to actually leapfrog from where they are right now, where they don't really have access to a lot of energy, and in many cases, affordable energy, the basics exactly, to where we want them to be, which is abundant energy that is clean, that is affordable, that is available to everybody. So to me, that is a huge challenge that we are not considering. And maybe the other challenge that I think is very important is, for decades now, we, And I say we, but I mean policymakers, decision makers, the NGO community, the environmental community, we've been talking, but we haven't been doing anything. If you think about this, today in 2022, the percentage of our electricity that is produced with low carbon energy sources is exactly the same that it was at the beginning of this century. It's about 36%. 20 years, nothing has happened. So we really need to stop having these wish lists and actually put in place actionable, pragmatic action plans that need to be bold, they need to be realistic, and we really need to focus on actually doing, not just talking. So this urgency and this size of the problem needs to be understood by the policymakers.
As the World Nuclear Association, what do you tell or say to countries that think, okay, nuclear, it's like at least 5, 10 years, a lot of money put there, but there's now a lot of technologies that could be mostly cost effective and efficient more than that. What do you say?
Well, nuclear energy is today the fastest way to add energy per capita. So it is true that a nuclear project may take time, and actually if you are a newcomer country, you are right. It does take time for a newcomer country to develop the infrastructure, legal infrastructure, human resources, regulatory capabilities, etc., to do a nuclear energy program. As we have seen in the UAE, it's possible to do this in 12 or so years. But I mean, once that you have this infrastructure, you add massive amounts of low carbon, all day, 24/7 energy. Exactly, for 100 years to come. And not only that, but the ecosystem of socioeconomic development that this type of energy brings is unparalleled. Nuclear energy has been in many countries an absolute catalyzer of other development. We've seen this in Japan, in Korea. So I think that's something that many countries need to consider, because it really, and you see this here in the UAE, how in the next 5 years, the UAE is going to get 25% of its electricity from zero carbon energy sources.